One young man alone in the jungle with an ambitious goal: to build a self-sufficient life from nothing. Over the next 10 months, he will build his own shelter, raise fish in homemade pools, grow his own vegetables, and raise livestock. He will even harness the waterfall to generate electricity and bring running water across the property. Soon, his crops and animals will produce enough surplus to trade at the local market. And just when it seems like everything is finally in place, he tears down his first home and replaces it with an impressive 2-story house. Through it all, his animals will be his closest companions as he faces the solitude of the jungle. But before that transformation can begin, there is still a long way to go. At only 24, Khoi ventures deep into the Vietnamese mountains with a few basic tools and one massive goal: to build a self-sufficient farm from scratch. He chooses a harsh, rocky spot beside a waterfall. It's a strategic masterstroke, providing fresh water, fish, and eventual power. But first, he needs a shelter to survive the wild. To clear the unyielding ground, he uses an ancient technique: fire setting. The extreme heat weakens the solid rock, allowing him to chip it away by hand. He will build one of the walls directly against the rock face, shielding his future cabin from strong winds while saving construction time. Using river stones, he raises the foundation to reduce the risk of flooding during the rainy season, when the stream rises and runoff flows across the site. As his hands aren't enough to level the earth, he engineers a heavy wooden tamper. Making his own tools will become the rhythm of his life here. For the main frame, there are no metal nails. Using skills passed down from his father, Khoi relies entirely on traditional joinery, carving precise geometric notches that lock the heavy timber together. To maximize his living space, he extends the platform directly over the street. This added area will be meant for sleeping, while the main section will house the kitchen and living room. As he seals the roof, he deliberately leaves a gap over the living area. Directly beneath it, he crafts a stove from river clay and stone. It's a temporary kitchen to survive the cold months. His long-term plan is to build a separate one across the river, keeping smoke and cooking odors away from his resting area. The window frames will remain empty for now, with the nearest town miles away. The exhausting trek for glass is a luxury for another day. He has secured his base camp. His basic survival needs are met. Now, the real work of building an off-grid empire can finally begin. Throughout this week, he has been relying on freshwater snails and other wild foods for sustenance. Now, he has a bigger plan, setting up several traps to catch enough fish to begin developing his fish farm. Using small grubs found along the riverbank as bait, he engineers automatic traps using the natural flexibility of fresh bamboo. He can now finally focus on the self-sufficient life he came here to build. His first step is creating a pond for his fish farm. he builds a barrier across the stream using bamboo poles secured by vertical stakes. The dam allows fresh water to flow through while keeping the fish contained. It is only the beginning of a system he plans to expand over time, but his fish farm is now underway. Only the fish are missing. Back at the trap site, the plan has paid off. He divides the catch, saving a few for tonight's dinner and keeping the rest alive to release them into the new pool. This simple step turns today's catch into a sustainable long-term food source for himself and a future product to sell at local markets. From this moment on, farm life begins. While a hot meal restores his energy, Koi is already thinking about his next objective: establishing a productive kept finding its way inside, making it clear that sealing the shelter is now his top priority. He went to town earlier to pick up the glass for the windows and this plastic membrane. It serves as the first layer of protection for the roof, helping keep the interior completely watertight during the heavy monsoon rains. Because his goal is to build a shelter that blends naturally into the landscape, he then applies a thick layer of soil and fresh grass. The living roof provides excellent insulation from the tropical heat while helping the cabin disappear into the hillside. The glass panes can finally be installed around the window openings. No more cold air or insects will be able to get inside and disturb him while he rests. To keep fresh air flowing through the cabin, he leaves one window opening uncovered and builds an adjustable bamboo shutter. It can be closed at night for warmth and security, and opened during the day to allow natural ventilation. Inside, he builds a second sliding panel to separate the kitchen and living area from his sleeping space. The farm is gradually taking shape, and it's time to expand the ponds and build a proper fish farm. He begins by rearranging the stones just below his shelter to redirect the stream's flow. This allows him to keep the upper pond exclusively for personal use, while channeling the remaining water downstream. The wider area below the cabin provides the ideal location for a larger breeding pond to raise far more fish than before. Since stagnant water will quickly become unhealthy, he carves several openings along the length of the bamboo wall and inserts short bamboo spouts into the gaps. These creates a controlled overflow, keeping the water constantly circulating in oxygen. He repeats the same method for the other ponds. This system will later inspire him to build a separate network of bamboo pipes, carrying fresh water from a natural spring throughout the property for cooking and drinking. Back at the main pond, he decides to build a floating feeding station on the water. Each day, he will fill it with fresh leaves, giving the fish a steady food source to help them thrive. Suddenly, a visitor appears. A young lost goat wanders into camp, attracted by the fresh vegetation around the pool. Koi decides to take her in. She provides welcome companionship in the isolated jungle and becomes the first pet on his growing farm. He gives her the name Bess and starts creating a small shelter to keep her safe. Soon, she will no longer be alone, as another companion is expected to join her. Two months have passed since the 24-year-old first arrived in this remote corner of the jungle with nothing but a few hand tools. Since then, every day has brought him one step closer to building the farm he envisioned. His vegetables are now taking root, the fish population is growing, and each new addition brings him closer to creating a place that can support itself. After finishing the small cabin for the goat, he'll head to town to pick up a few supplies. He is not ready to start selling yet, but the patience and hard work will eventually pay off. He returns with a few more vegetables and a new member for the plans are taking root. In just a few weeks, he will harvest the first vegetables to trade at the local market, generating new resources to keep developing his off-grid ecosystem. As he frames this second building, he relies on the same proven design principles used for his main cabin, including the living roof design. But as the farm continues to expand, connecting all these new areas becomes a challenge. Once this building is complete, he will need to build a bridge across the main pond to link both sides of the property, along with a pathway connecting the outdoor kitchen with the garden. With the frame and living roof complete, he turns to the walls. Instead of a fully enclosed shelter, he will leave the structure half open, like a pavilion-style design. His vision for this new space extends directly over the water. He builds a spacious deck that will serve as a perfect fishing spot right outside his new kitchen. So far, he has relied on the waterfall to raise fish, bathe, and supply fresh water. But soon, he will also harness its current to generate electricity, bringing him one step closer to complete self-sufficiency. Before that, he needs to connect the entire camp by building the main bridge, a defining feature of his new home. This won't be a conventional bridge. Khoi plans to make the entire structure lock together and support itself. Because he is building it alone, he first sets temporary bamboo supports in the water to hold the main logs in place. As the pieces lock together, the supports can be removed. To strengthen the bridge further, he reinforces the central joint with wooden pegs. With the main structure secure, the walkway can finally be laid. Before adding the railings to make it safer to cross, he starts building the side walkway, connecting the new outdoor kitchen and chill-out area to the garden at the back. The impressive structure officially links both sides of the farm, making it much easier to get around and proving just how much his skills and vision have grown. With the bridge providing better connection, Khoi looks for new ways to maximize his land on the other side. Rather than clearing more of the forest, he builds a bamboo cultivation tunnel. It makes use of vertical space, allowing the same piece of land to serve as both a walkway and a place to grow new vegetables. Over the past few days, he has noticed bees feeding on his new crops and gathering water near the stream. He tracks their flight path into the brush and discovers a hive of ground-nesting bees hidden in the hillside. After months of intense physical labor, the sweet honey is a well-earned reward. As he sits down for dinner, the farm gets completely dark at night, and it's time to make a permanent change. The next morning, Khoi begins one of the biggest milestones of the entire build, bringing electricity to the site. To make it happen, he will harness the waterfall with a handmade water wheel, turning its constant current into a source of power. His goal is to add lighting to both his main cabin and the new outdoor kitchen. By carefully carving interlocking joints, he assembles a perfectly balanced wheel designed to withstand the heavy push of the river. While the waterfall provides a constant source of power, its natural drop flows directly into the pond, making it impossible to place the wheel there. So he builds a heavy log foundation over the lower pool to safely support the wheel's axle. He then engineers an aqueduct to catch the water at the top of the falls and channel it outward. This delivers the flow precisely onto the wooden paddles, forcing the wheel into a continuous, powerful spin. At the top, he adds a bamboo valve to control the water flow, directing it onto the wooden paddles. By moving the pipes aside, he can stop the wheel whenever needed. The kinetic energy of the river has been successfully harnessed, and the next challenge is converting that mechanical rotation into electricity. A generator is brought in and installed to complete the system. With a test bulb wired directly to the unit, the first light appears, marking the beginning of a new chapter on the farm: electrical independence. To finalize the system, Coy strings electrical wiring from the generator all the way up to his main cabin, and across the new bridge to his outdoor pavilion. By installing a network of light bulbs, he fundamentally changes his life on the farm. He is no longer bound by the setting sun, and his days of living in the dark are over. More than 4 months have passed since he moved into the jungle. Without his animals, the loneliness would be much harder to bear, especially with his birthday just around the corner, a day he wouldn't want to spend alone. The crops are almost ready. Soon, he will be able to take them to the market, sell them, and use the money to buy other essential supplies. In the meantime, he turns his attention to the outdoor kitchen, expanding the space to create 2 separate areas, one for cooking and the other for relaxing. This upgrade represents a major improvement in his everyday life. For months, he has endured cooking inside his small cabin, battling trapped smoke and confined spaces. Now, he constructs a large stove in this open-air environment, far away from his sleeping quarters, providing a spacious, comfortable area to prepare his harvest. Like any proper kitchen, it will also need running water. But without electric pumps, he must rely on gravity and primitive engineering. Coy splits and hollows out bamboo poles to create a channel. By overlapping these sections and securing them along the rocky hillside, he builds a custom aqueduct that taps directly into a mountain spring. The fresh water flows down the line and drops perfectly into a sink at his workstation, completing his fully functional off-grid kitchen. Kitchen finished? More good news arrives. Koi's crops have fully matured. This is a staggering milestone. He is no longer just scraping by to survive the wilderness. He has engineered a surplus. Turning just 25 years old, the scale of what this young man has achieved is unbelievable. Through absolute resolve and primitive ingenuity, Koi has transformed a hostile wilderness into a permanent, thriving home. His animals are his only companions out here, providing the support he needs to keep working toward the future of the farm. Protecting everything he has built so far becomes a priority, so he engineers a large perimeter fence to secure the property. But just outside the main entrance, he plans to create a large space for more animals, extending the farm beyond the very perimeter he just built. At the same time, Koi is finding ways to make his crops more productive. Instead of waiting for seeds to grow, he replants using established shoots, a simple technique that helps him grow new crops faster and maintain a steady supply for the village market. To further expand his off-grid food production, Koi starts a highly efficient project, growing mushrooms. He begins by preparing dried straw as the growing medium. Since unwanted bacteria or mold could ruin the entire crop, he boils the straw first, sterilizing it before adding the mushroom spores. He packs the straw into bags with small holes for the mushrooms to grow through, and the humid jungle environment provides the perfect conditions for them to thrive. With the mushroom crop now underway, he turns his attention to another major The ducklings will stay in this temporary box, while Koi prepares a permanent habitat for them. Variety of vegetables. If one harvest fails or a resource runs low, he will always have reliable alternatives to keep the farm running. Every single new addition makes his off-grid sanctuary more solid, stable, and entirely self-sufficient. It has been a long, productive day. Koi can finally sit down and enjoy one of the fish he kept for himself. He will need the food and a good night's rest, because tomorrow he plans to start building his new home. The day has arrived. It's finally time to break ground on the new cabin. But a build this ambitious will take time. So before construction demands most of his attention, he pushes beyond the farm's original boundaries and clears a new patch of jungle to plant fruit trees. The goal is to keep the farm expanding throughout construction, turning the weeks of building into another growing cycle, and bringing in even more food and resources. While new fields are being planted, the mushrooms have finally matured and are ready to harvest. They make the perfect meal to fuel up before the heavy labor starts. Once picked, the bags naturally reset, starting the growing cycle all over again. The moment Koi has been envisioning for weeks has finally arrived. He is ready to build a larger, much more comfortable home. But first, he must tear down the cabin that carried him through his first months in the jungle. It didn't fail. He simply outgrew it. The farm has evolved, and now his home must do the same. With the site cleared, Koi is already feeling the strain. The new cabin will need a much larger foundation, so he'll turn one of the pools into solid ground with river stones. To reduce the physical effort, he builds a timber slide to guide the rocks down into place. This will go far beyond a wider cabin. Coy is gaining space for a two-story home. A structure this large will require much heavier timber. He selects massive tree stumps with broad root bases for the supports, along with thick logs for the frame. In this damp jungle, protecting that wood is critical, so he uses a traditional charring technique learned from his father, scorching the surface, then scraping away the loose char to help defend the timber against moisture, termites, and decay. As the timber frame rises, the true scale After days of heavy timber work, Coy needs a break from the house. Curious about a large nearby lake and the species living there, he builds a new bamboo trap suited for deeper water. With his fish farm running low after the last trade, it is also the perfect chance to restock it. It uses a simple one-way bamboo gate. Fish can push their way inside, but the flexible pieces make it much harder to swim back out. A piece of bait is placed inside to lure them in. With the traps complete, it's time to head to the lake. Exploring the surrounding wilderness helps him better understand the environment, something he wants to keep doing as the farm grows. With plenty of construction still ahead at the house, the traps are anchored and left in place. Tomorrow morning, he will return to see what these deeper waters have delivered. shelter for everyone inside. The next morning, Koi heads to the lake, excited to see how the traps worked. As he hauls the bamboo cage to shore, the result is clear. His simple engineering has paid off. Inside, he finds 4 different species, some he has never caught before. The trip proves valuable for more than just restocking the pond. It expands the variety of fish on the farm and shows just how much these expeditions can add to his growing system. The next priority is creating proper access between the 2 levels of the house. A 2-story home needs a staircase, and its position was planned from the start. The palm roof extends over this area, keeping the route between levels sheltered during the heavy jungle rains. Upstairs, he begins framing the balcony railing with thick logs, and later he will fill the gaps with natural branches. With these exterior elements coming together, the structure is getting closer to feeling like a true home. After spending weeks on construction, the garden is thriving. To keep the cycle moving, Koi harvests part of his crops and prepares for another trip to the village market. Now that he has a new sleeping area, he plans to get proper bedding, a major upgrade to his daily comfort. But before leaving, he clears the overgrown weeds and uses them as feed for the new fish and the ducks. In this closed-loop system, nothing goes to waste. Once at the market, a small piglet at a neighboring stall catches his attention. With the new house nearly finished and the farm continuing to expand, he now has the space and resources to welcome another animal. After selling part of his vegetables to raise money for bedding, he offers the piglet's owner the rest of his harvest, plus some cash. She accepts, and he is thrilled to bring the piglet home. But before heading to the villa, he uses the money from his earlier sales to pick up the blankets and cushions for his new sleeping area. At home, the newest member is quickly welcomed by Bess and Lou. After some thought, the piglet will be called Moo. He also takes a moment to set up the new bedding in his sleeping area. With the main structure nearly complete, the focus can finally shift to making the interior feel like a real home. and used every new resource to keep expanding. Now, with the foundations of his new life firmly in place, the two-story house is finally nearing completion. Only the decoration and personal touches remain before he can truly call this new space home. Finding those final details means a visit to the market. But first, he takes a moment to wash in the waterfall. His pets are next. The farm's growth is no longer limited to its crops. The duck flock has multiplied enough that a few mature birds can be traded without slowing its expansion. Packed into bamboo baskets, they are taken to the village market. There, a buyer is quickly found, turning another farm surplus into money for the villa. The earnings go toward handcrafted clay planters, flowers, and books for the shelves upstairs. With everything finally in place, the two-story house feels more like a true home than ever before. For the first time, there is room at the villa for something that has always come second: a space to relax and have fun. A natural pool begins to take shape in front of the house, built from river stones. Once the fresh stream water fills the basin, he jumps in, finally enjoying a well-earned break from the constant work. After 10 months, Khoi wakes up in a home far more comfortable and welcoming than he ever imagined. All around him, the systems and spaces he has created now make everyday life easier, including a pool just a few steps away. But for Khoi, this was never just about building a beautiful home. He came here to prove that it is still possible to create a life with his own hands, closely connected to nature. Along the way, every challenge has taught him something new, while the animals that joined him have turned this isolated valley into a place that truly feels alive. And now, this is no longer just a project. This is where he lives full-time, and his vision keeps growing. He wants to build a larger kitchen, use the space beneath the house for storing food and supplies, improve the soil, plant more flowers and fruit trees, experiment with new structures, and welcome more animals to the farm. Less than a year ago, he entered the forest with an idea. Today, that idea has become a life, and what looks like a finished paradise may only be the beginning.